Hey everyone, and welcome to SkillCapped. My name is Dr. Zora, and in today's video, we're going to be reviewing 5 advanced tips that you need to learn to win more games in Valorant. With Valorant having been out for a year now, many players have started getting used to the basics of the game, but are now ready to get into the more advanced tactics, which is probably why you clicked this video in the first place. We're going to break down each of these tips in heavy detail to ensure you understand them and know how to take your game to the next level. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Getting right into our question of the day: which agent is your current main in Valorant? Having a main agent is really important in this game as it brings consistency and familiarity to your play. You get to learn the agent's strengths and weaknesses and how to abuse those stronger aspects to dominate your enemies. This isn't part of our 5 tips, but really think about having 1 or 2 main agents that you have really developed and learned to play. Getting into our first tip, make sure you try your best to make team-based plays. A lot of players tend to forget Valorant's design in and of itself is meant to be played as a team. As such, you'll really be able to take your game to the next level if you learn to do this. There is a lot to delve into here though. A good place to start with making team-oriented plays is having good communication. Talk to your teammates about the game plan. Where are you guys trying to position? What site do you want to hit? How do you want to hit the site? These are some of the prime examples, but essentially you want everyone on your team to be on the same page so that nothing unexpected comes up. A common thing we see in the lower elos is that players will try to hit a site, but no one communicates how they were trying to hit it. Who goes in first? What areas are meant to be smoked off? When is someone going to flash? Again, these are minute details, but they have to be discussed to win a round. We've all been there where we get team flashed by agents such as Phoenix, Sky, and Breach because these players didn't call out where they were going to flash a specific point. Likewise, those players may not have known that you were going to push at that exact moment, and as such, they accidentally flash you. Communication and having a game plan is truly key to having success in a game like Valorant. It seems silly at first, but doing just that can make you win more games than spending all your time trying to grind your aim and go for crazy individual plays instead of playing as a team. To give you an example, here was a simple but highly effective team play done here. Prior to this round, we already knew that the enemy really liked going into the B site every round, so as such, we decided to stack the B site with 4 players. From there, our Omen communicates that he's going to flash down B main and calls for the rest of us to push off of the flash. By reading the enemy and communicating well, we were able to dominate the round with a well-planned team play. The enemies were blinded, we pushed in as a team, and we got the kills and traded off one another. This drastically increased our chances of winning the round versus if we just try to play more individually for picks and played the round pretty standard. Your team plays don't even have to be this crazy either. Simply trying to flash for a teammate or double peeking a choke point are easy to do but highly effective to achieving a similar result. Work as a team and communicate, and you'll find yourself winning way more rounds in games. Speaking of winning more rounds, if you really want to take your game to the next level and truly learn how to win more games and get the rank you've always dreamed of, then go to skillcapped.com to unlock our hyper improvement system that will teach you everything you need to blast through the rankings in Valorant. The link will be provided in the description below. Moving on to tip number 2, every player should learn how to play a supportive role. If you've been playing Valorant for a while, you've probably run into players who insta-lock duelists. Many players like to play duelists because they're more frag oriented and have abilities to help you get kills. While these agents are certainly fun to play, they tend to leave very little to learning about team play like we just mentioned. Many duelists we've seen play fairly selfish. They bait their teammates and go for kills, or they try to go for big brain individual plays, which may work out and win you some rounds, but imagine how much better those plays would be if there was someone to support them. The issue currently is everyone wants to be the star and no one wants to be the background player. But someone needs to do it if you want to have more effective plays. And we mentioned duelists a lot because they're the front liners, but it doesn't have to be just supporting them. Learning to throw a flash when your teammate's about to peek, or throwing out smokes to decrease the number of choke points that your teammates have to check are some simple examples of how you can support your team overall. Also, something as simple as going in with a teammate so you double peek a position drastically increases the odds of you winning that engagement, or at the very least trading your teammate 1 for 1. The duelists tend to be the ones that run in first and get into enemy faces like we just said, which is why we mentioned them a lot, but really being able to help your teammates get kills by peeking with them or using abilities to help them get those kills are monumental to increasing the odds of your team coming out on top and therefore having a high chance of winning a round and getting more games. We know playing a supportive role can be boring for some players, but again, it all goes back to being more of a team player. Many players think that playing support means that you have to lock in an agent like Sage and focus on healing and reviving teammates, but it isn't limited to just that. You can easily play a quote-unquote support role by using a duelist like Phoenix who can wall off a choke point to make it easier for your team to push a site, or who can also use his ultimate to scout out a site. Yes, duelists can play more of a supportive role when the situation presents itself. On the topic of Phoenix's ultimate specifically, this This is a great ability that really shines when you do use it in a supportive manner. If you charge in first and find where enemies are while having a teammate back you up and grab the kills, then you have a much better chance of getting the best bang for your buck with Phoenix's ultimate rather than focusing on finding players and killing them yourself. Many players make the mistake of using such abilities for more individual plays, but it's really when they're used in a more team-oriented, supportive manner that you'll end up with way better results. Going into tip number 3, if you want to take your game to the next level, you have to learn all the tricks that you can do with the agents that you're using. Each agent in Valorant specializes in specific areas and thus have their own unique tricks and abilities that they can use to catch enemies by surprise and dominate. Some techniques are easier than others, but they'll take effort, time, and practice to get the hang of. For example, knowing different lineups for abilities are incredibly valuable and can turn the entire tide of a round. Examples of such abilities include Viper and Brimstone's Molotovs, along with Silva's Recon Bolt and Shock Darts. These lineups are fairly easy to learn, but they just take time and practice to figure out what you need to commit to. On a more aggressive level, an agent like Jett really shines when taking advantage of her mobility. Being able to use her ultimate and updraft to a surprise angle can lead to a free kill compared to peeking more standardly. A common technique that Jett players will also use is combining updraft and dash together to really get into enemy faces and kill them before they can even adjust their aim on you. One of the hardest tricks to learn is definitely Raze's ability kit. Similar to Jett, Raze specializes in aggression, and one of the coolest and most effective tricks you can do is the double satchel ultimate play. This sends Raze flying in the air, and if done correctly, you can trigger her ultimate at the same time and be able to shoot it immediately after performing the satchels. This is the most mobile technique in the game currently, and not only does it catch players off guard, but it also has a high chance of tilting your enemies. And that's because this is a technique that not everyone can do, but if you can do it, it adds another layer to your toolbox. These are just a few examples of tricks you can do with a few agents, but every agent has something that they only can do, and as such, you should practice and master. Some other examples include learning different unorthodox Cypher setups and Killjoy setups, mastering Yoru's ultimate teleport combo, and learning to dismiss quickly with Reyna. We won't be able to get into detail on all these tricks as they can all be individual videos in and of itself, but point being, make sure you know and learn them as they can completely change around. With that being said, tip number 4 is learning to pre-fire angles. Essentially what this boils down into is having good crosshair placement and knowing common positions that players tend to be in. For example, a common position that someone may be as a defender is right in front of B main on ascent. As such, what you can do is place your crosshair in a manner where if you were to peek, your crosshair would be right on them and you can shoot without any hesitation. Don't try to see if a player is there or not before firing, simply prepare, peek, and shoot. This technique allows you to essentially fire before the enemy has a chance to shoot back. What the enemy is likely doing in this scenario is they're waiting for someone to peek the angle, they then have to register that you've presented yourself, and then they have to decide to shoot you. Pre-firing takes one of those steps away, allowing you to shoot earlier and quicker, thus having a better chance of winning that engagement. Learn all the common spots that players tend to play, and then practice pre-firing those angles. One thing to note is that you don't necessarily want to pre-fire every one of these angles, but identify the most common ones that the enemy tends to play and focus on pre-firing those areas. This way, the odds of a player being there is quite high, you increase your chances of winning the fight without exposing your location for free. Particularly when facing an operator, pre-firing can be extremely effective for killing them before they can even react. One way that you can effectively pre-fire an angle without exposing yourself too much is by jiggle peeking or strafe peeking. By revealing yourself for just a brief moment, you can spot out an enemy without getting yourself killed. Now that you know for sure an enemy is in that position, you can set yourself better for the pre-fire and knock that player out. If you've pre-fired an angle in a previous round, the enemy is going to have to respect that and change their position to somewhere else. This could decrease the options that they can play and put them in a position that they're less comfortable in, thus again giving your team more of an edge of winning that round. Last but not least, tip number 5 is one that some players may remember but start to neglect, and that is keeping track of ultimates. Ultimates are a very key area of the game, and having one can completely change how a round is going to be played. By checking what ultimates your teammates have, as well as what ultimates your enemies have, you can better plan what you want to do during a round and better predict what the enemy may try to do. For example, if you know an enemy Raze has their ultimate up, then you know that your team is going to want to play more spread out to prevent Raze from getting multiple kills with it. Or perhaps the enemy Killjoy has their ultimate ready, in which you may want to save your Brimstone or Sova ult to destroy it rather than using it on a spike plant. It's little things like that that can be groundbreaking. Tracking ultimates is simple to do, but many players don't check it enough, and as such they get caught off guard by an ultimate that they didn't expect was available and they get stomped. On the other spectrum, maybe you had two ultimates on your team that could have worked really well if coordinated together, but because neither of you saw that each other had it, you both end up using it in more of an individual manner, and as a result, your ultimates become less effective than they could have been. So make sure you hit tab or look up at the agent bar every round to see what ultimates are available or about to become available, and then communicate that and come up with a plan or counter plan, taking those ultimates ultimates into consideration. Alright, so if you haven't already, make sure to leave a comment on which agent is your current main in Valorant. And while you're down there, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get more premium guides just like this one with one goal in mind, helping you become a better player. We are SkillCapped, want to thank you for watching. We'll catch you in the next. I'm Dr. Zora, and good luck out there.